Hi, I'm Johanna, and this is Mendora. She speaks anyway. I realized I've become emotionally numb because of social media, and that scared me. In today's episode of Clean Up with Johanna, I want to talk about how social media numbs us, how overusing our phones slowly pulls us away from the things that actually matter, and how I finally reached a point where I couldn't ignore it anymore. This isn't about blaming technology or the world we live in. This is about me, my habits, my patterns, my life. And for months, I felt something was off. I kept noticing these tiny red flags. Waking up and spending an hour scrolling, fishing course, sitting down for 1 second and instantly reaching for my phone, opening Instagram during every small break, watching reels at night until my brain was overstimulated, and then telling myself this is relaxing. But it wasn't relaxing, it was numbing. And the moment that truly hit me was when I realized I wasn't actually seeing my own life anymore. My cat would come to cuddle or do something insanely cute, and I either didn't notice it or I didn't care because I was watching another cute cat on the internet. And that moment broke something inside me. My cats will live maybe 15, 17, maybe 20 years if I'm lucky. And one day I cry my heart out because they're gone. I don't want to think about that moment. While I spent years being more present with a screen than with the real little soul in front of me. I'm 24 and I'm scared when I think about how many weeks, months, maybe even years of my life I've already wasted scrolling myself out of my own reality. So I said to myself, this has to stop. Not because social media is evil, not because phones are bad, but because I'm missing my life. And that brings me into the most important part of this conversation. Why my relationship with my phone even started. Because it didn't begin with boredom. For me, it began with pain. I didn't have an easy school life. I was bullied, excluded, misjudged. People created a version of me that wasn't real. And when you're young, you don't have the emotional tools to protect yourself as you should do. So you learn to survive. Around 13, I got my first smartphone, WhatsApp, Instagram, my first small escape from the world that made me feel so small. Suddenly, the internet felt safer than the real life. Online, nobody at school could whisper lies behind my back. Nobody judged me based on rumors. Nobody pointed fingers or laughed at me in the hallway. So online, I could just be me. And that felt really good to me. And the wild part, the internet gave me things real life didn't. I found my first boyfriend online. It was a long distance relationship, but it felt safe. Nobody around him could poison his opinion of me. So for the first time, I felt chosen. I also found one of the most important people in my life on the internet, my best friend, who later passed away. But she loved me exactly as I was. That connection would never exist without my phone. The internet became my safe space. The only place where I wasn't the girl people bullied. The only place where I could breathe. I listened to music for hours. Music was my therapy, my escape, my comfort. And because real life felt so painful at this time, I built a home inside my screen. And this is the part that still hurts. If I hadn't been bullied, I don't think I would have been so vulnerable, so desperate to find safety somewhere. I also see something today that makes me really sad. We've all stopped looking at the world. We walk through our lives staring at our screens. We don't look at the sky. We don't notice the clouds changing colors. We don't pay attention to the people around us. We don't see the beauty that's right there because we're too busy watching filtered beauty on phone. And sometimes I think, is someone right next to us collapsed and needed help? Would we even notice? Or would we be too busy scrolling through someone else's life while the real world is literally happening beside us? This is heartbreaking, how disconnected we've become. The world around us is alive, moving, changing, breathing, and we're missing it. But even with all this awareness, I had to admit something uncomfortable. I'm not immune to I'm not immune to any of this. Even now, when I'm out with people, I never touch my phone. I love being present. I love being in conversations that actually mean something. And I love feeling the real life. But when I'm alone, the habits return. The scrolling, the numbing, the comparing, even the quiet sadness underneath everything. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's a subtle kind of self-doubt that whispers of, why isn't my relationship that perfect? Why doesn't my life look like that? Why don't I look like her? Why don't I travel every week? Why can't I have what they have? Social media shows you one perfect minute of someone's day. And your brain reacts as if that minute is their whole life. And suddenly your own life, your real, beautiful, imperfect life, feels not enough. And here's a fact that shocked me. The average person checks their phone 150 times a day. That's 150 dopamine hits. Dopamine, the same chemical released when you take drugs. Expect this drug is free, unlimited, and socially accepted. No wonder we feel numb. No wonder we feel disconnected. No wonder our attention span is fading. And I had to face something. I'm not stronger than the algorithm. I'm not above it. When I checked my screen time today, I saw that I spent 90 minutes a day on Instagram alone. Last week, I realized this wasn't just a habit, it was a coping mechanism. Because silence forces you to feel, and feeling forces you to face things you're not ready to deal with. And since I promised you honesty, I want to share something from when I was younger. I had feelings for this boy. He was the first boy I ever loved, and he didn't always answer me. Hours, sometimes days passed, and it hurt so much more than I know how to handle. So I downloaded an app called WhatsApp. It barked every time he came online on WhatsApp. I believed it would give me control, that it would calm me down, but it destroyed me. I watched him come online 100 times a day and barely ever for me. It turned my phone into a machine that measured how little I meant to him. And in a strange way, social media today does similar things. It amplifies the pain we already carry. It magnifies our insecurities. We thought we were healed. It depends comparison. It separates us from our own lives. And I don't want this anymore. So here's what I'm changing. I upload my own content, my stories, my reels, my selfies, because that's part of my podcast and I want to share it with you. But after that, I'll put my phone away. I want to read again. I want to cook without filming it every time. I want to paint with my lovely watercolors, and I want to watch my cats growing up. I want to walk outside and actually see the world around me, and I want to reconnect with who I am outside of a screen. I want my life back. I want my mind back. I want my presence back. And I keep you updated on this journey. So stay tuned. There will be another episode, maybe in some month. Should be good. But before we close today's episode, it's time for my would you question. Would you want to know every time someone comes online the way I does or the way I did, even if every single notice hurts you? Let me know. I'm curious about your answer and your opinion. And now we're going to story track. The track of today's episode is Numb by Linkin Park, because it's a song that captures exactly what it feels like to be overwhelmed, to shut down, to feel too much, and then feel nothing at all. It's the perfect soundtrack for today's topic, and you will find it on the Mendora Mood Board playlist on Spotify.